Hey guys, your boy Eli from the Geek Centurions back with good old Joey and my good pal Daniel. I think I'm pointing at the right area. How's it going,
Oh,
buddy?
doing all right. Still stuff going on out there, but I'm doing fine.
Hey man, so long as you're good, it's all that matters. But essentially, recently at the time of this recording, we've just got news about Xbox's new thing, and since we're also kind of gamers, why not talk about that? Also, there's been some recent stirrings in the gaming world, specifically with two games, and they're both games are both very much loved. Last of Us 2 and Doom Eternal, which is a game that I just recently finished playing. Good lord, that game is amazing.
I need to
I
finish
bet.
that.
Oh yeah, you're gonna love it, Daniel. Especially if you love Mick Gordon stuff. And that's what we're gonna talk about later on today, later on in this episode. So essentially, we're gonna talk
Yeah.
about the controversy that goes around with Last of Us 2. And don't worry, we're not gonna go full on. We're not gonna go spoiling that to everybody. We are respectful of spoilers, especially when it comes to something as controversial as this.
Yep.
And with the Doom Eternal stuff, the most recent stuff, we are going to talk about that, as well as the response that ID gave to Mick Gordon with the recent things with the music tracks, and just going over our thoughts and maybe any games that caught our attention from the recent Xbox announcement. So yeah, let's start it off. Last of Us 2. Daniel, without going in, not telling people the spoilers, what is the situation with Naughty Dog and The Last of Us 2?
Okay. Well, long story short, they basically got hacked and a weird method too. Apparently, they used one of the previous games to manage to go ahead and hack into Naughty Dog's servers back at their company, and that's how they managed to get the leaks. I don't know the full details of it, but it's an outside source, so as many as been led to believe it wasn't actually someone at Naughty Dog.
Because that's when we first heard about it, was that a disgruntled employee who was upset by the wages and like the fact that it was a huge crunch time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe, you have known a lot of games that have had that issue with crunch time, which was at first kind of a reasonable till this new stuff come out. And yeah, the leak itself has now caused a lot of trouble, and we're not going to go into this, like I said earlier, but essentially. Um, Without talking about it, Daniel, what are your thoughts? And enjoy. I like to hear your thoughts on like what do you guys think about the leaks without talking about them.
Well, I don't really have a deep attachment with the Last of Us. I mean, I think it's a good game, but I don't think like it's critical acclaim worthy and everything like that. But I still had a good time with it. So hearing about these leaks
Also,
coming out of nowhere and sorry,
I was
no,
sorry,
uh,
you had to break up in these Zoom calls, but essentially, wasn't Last of Us 2 a Game of the Year, or didn't it win Game of
uh,
the Year?
Oh,
it
I mean, the
did.
original Last of Us, maybe.
Yeah, the original Last of Us won Game of the Year pretty much everywhere. Left and right, they were being handed out like perfect tens out of tens, 5 out of 5s, and Give It a Year awards. And people really
Yeah,
did love the story. Like as much as I didn't really much care, as much as I really didn't like the gameplay that much, it feels kind of tedious, or like you have to watch Ellie constantly, and you're basically moving stuff around all the time as well. I thought the story was
yeah,
nice. I liked the story, and then out of the nowhere, I just people were making jokes about it, saying how bad it was, and it's like, oh, it's really bad. It's really bad. You got it. Like, I can't believe they did this in a story. So like if it's like a Star Wars thing where like that script got leaked and people hated it, um, okay, it might be bad. So I decided to go ahead and check it out myself. And yeah, there's some questionable choices that they made in there.
yeah. And Joy, you're the one who told me about these leaks, and so I'd like to hear your thoughts on these leaks real quick.
Yeah, I did a bit of research before we started this episode, mainly just going over the sort of the quick timeline of like, what happened, the whole how originally it was reported as a disgruntled employee leaking it before um, it was revealed that it was a bunch of hackers that got in through like Naughty Dog servers. And yeah, having decided to look at the leaks myself, it is very. I can kind of understand the outrage some people have about it, and it is a very sort of interesting writing, like a lot of like interesting choices, I guess, is the good way of saying it without spoiling what exactly is going to happen in the story, which I think is sort of the true crux of this entire situation, is that like Naughty Dog has been making a lot of story driven games in the last couple of years, including Last of Us, and to have like these plot points spoiled for a big narrative game is sort of not great. And if the people aren't liking that, then it's like then you're essentially you kind of have to be carried by the gameplay. And I mean, I guess like Daniel I mentioned, like for him, like the gameplay wasn't that stellar. It was the story
Mhm.
that helped carry that game.
Mhm.
And if the story, if we are led to believe, is from these leaks is what the story is, then for a lot of people, that's the death knell for them.
Yeah. Just to give my thoughts on this whole leak thing. I I've never played Last of Us 2. I've said it before. I own an Xbox. Last of Us 2 is an exclusive to PlayStation, so I never got the chance to actually play The Last of Us. Not saying if I was given if I had a PlayStation and was given a copy, I wouldn't play. But that's a different story. But essentially, my thoughts on this is that this is kind of a huge question mark onto what Naughty Dog has to do now. Like Joey said, Naughty Dog is a very story driven company. They really pride themselves in their storytelling. They've been known for other games, most notably Uncharted, which is a great game. The one time I got the chance to play it was great, and it was a very like structured narrative for them. And Sony has been known recently for having a great structured narrative from God of War and Spider Man, and other games of the like. But essentially now and story is a huge thing for Night Dog, of course. If these leaks are are to be taken wholeheartedly to be true, then now the question is the execution, because whether or not whether or not these are just plot points, and plot points can go either way. When you're writing a story, you're writing an idea for us. When you're writing a story, you want to take your character from point A to point B. If I just told you a plot point of like say whatever show you liked, you're like, I'd rather not watch that. But if I, make it so that you are able to believe that we end up from point A to point B, I think that's what it matters. But these leaks make it seem so hard for us to essentially trust Naughty Dog in their execution. And yeah, it's so questionable. I don't know how to feel. I'm not going to play the game. I don't have the method to play the game. Do I want to go out and play the game? Probably not if the leaks are to be considered true. And I think that's what the real damage that these leaks are having is that it's hurting Naughty Dog. And Daniel, I think that they have to push it like now they have to like really now release the game now immediately when it was supposed to release it like in January, right? Or not January, in June, right?
Originally, it was supposed to come out back in February. Then they delayed it to May, and then it was supposed to be delayed again, but just because of the coronavirus, uh, and then it hasn't been confirmed yet because of it was the leaks or not. But people are there's some speculation going around saying that now that pretty much the entirety of the story with all the major plot points being leaked out now, they want to have it get it out as soon as they can, so they have it in June. But again, that's just speculation right there, and there's nothing confirming that.
Mm-hmm. All I know is that I think one of the developers has said that it's gone gold, which in gaming terms for developers, that means it's done. We just need to put it in the disc, and you are gonna get it.
Yeah,
So
recently been announced that it went gold.
yeah, and I mean, Joey, what are your thoughts on this whole thing? Let's face it, Sony and Naughty Dog has reacted very quickly, very responsibly. Is this a sign of? Does this deteriorate your thoughts on what the game might be?
I don't know. It's very interesting because I think they released like a new trailer for Last of Us 2, and the like and dislike bar was like, it wasn't there. You couldn't post any comments on it on YouTube. So that to me makes me feel one of two things is that one is that Sony and Naughty Dog do not want, like, they do not want people spoiling stuff in the comments, obviously, because people who haven't seen them will stumble across them if they watch the trailer, and they also don't want, I guess, any sort of like backlash, I guess, to potential if these story leaks are true, then any sort of potential to backlash seen in like the comments and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've also know that I've if I am correct, I think they did. Sony has gone ahead and tried to like do like copyright strikes against a lot of the images that have been posted online, just to make sure, like, because not only was it their like plot point reveals, but like there were like screenshots of this stuff out there.
Yeah, that's right.
So Sony has gone out of its way to make sure that none of that's like trying to suppress that stuff, so that way most general people don't see that stuff.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on that, Daniel? How Sony and Naughty Dog are responding? So we said my question for you was how did you feel about Sony and Naughty Dog's response to this? Like, the recent trailer they released, they cut off the whole um, like dislike ratio and the comment section.
I mean, this is nothing new. I've seen this happen before. I believe. I think the last time I saw something like that was with Blizzard when they announced Diablo Immortal. Like, they're constantly like re-uploading the video and taking it down to reset the likes or dislikes, removing comments and stuff like that. They're doing damage control, and pretty much it just shows me that, like, yeah, this is something you can't really control, and this is probably. I don't know what much I can say. It's like, yeah, they're just doing damage control, and it doesn't make it look good on their part.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right, and it's one of those things where I'm going to say this now, and I'm pretty sure we're going to end this part of our conversation here, where we'll have to wait and see how the game comes out. There's no other way for us to know how everything's going to be, despite knowing how the leaks are. But we have to like wait and see just how this game is going to come out. How are they going to take us on this strange journey? Whether it be a good one or be a bad one, I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? Dan, you can start us off first.
I mean, yeah, like even if the game was well written, I'm pretty sure Naughty Dog would still get flagged for like the crunching stuff. I remember like people were freaking out about when BioWare like they came out with their dark secrets about their development for Anthem and that how it ended badly for almost everyone, including the employees. But either way, I don't think it'll impact them in the sales as well either, because The Last of Us is a popular game, and people, they're just going to buy it because it's a sequel. To Call of Duty, I think it was Infinite Warfare that people hated the most on YouTube, and it still sold millions.
That is true. That did happen. So, Joe, your thoughts?
I think, yeah, I do think it's going to be a interesting how Naughty Dog sort of like. Well, yeah, I think I agree with that with you in that. It all just depends on how it's presented in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think if it's presented well enough, then I think a good majority of people will like forgive and like be able to cope with whatever stuff that happens. But at the same time, if it doesn't work out well, if the story is not presented well at all, then this could be seen as sort of a Naughty Dog could lose a lot of prestige, and essentially, I guess flopping narratively the story of a highly anticipated sequel. I mean, I can definitely see it making a lot of money still, but whether or not it will like sell as much as it was initially promised, I mean, I don't know. Again, we don't really know exactly what their goal is for selling copies of games. So
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement that this game could be a great game and still has the potential to be a great game. We just aren't so sure about how it's going to end up being. And yeah, my whole thing is now that we have to wait and see. That's just there's no other way to say it. There's no other way to phrase it because that's the only way we can do it now with these leaks. We have to wait and see. So moving on, let's talk about another thing that's a little bit of a controversy in the gaming industry at this moment, and that is Doom Eternal's composer Mick Gordon is no longer working with Bethesda and 90 for due to tampering with the music that is in Doom Eternal. Now, Daniel, what do you have to say about just give us a rundown really about the situation with Mick Gordon and Bethesda and ID about the music.
Okay, so basically, Mick Gordon, he's been brought back for Doom Eternal. He makes the music and everything. Uh, but what makes it different this time from the last Doom back in 16 is that Mick he actually put out like different multiple ways how a song could play out because depending how your gameplay is, be it like slow and time consuming, or like going fast paced and shooting all out, the music changes. So it could go like calm and quiet or like loud and fish. Yeah, so pretty much the music changes how depending on your gameplay. So everyone's gameplay style, they're going to hear the music differently, and because of that, there's much more music and stuff Mick has to work with. So he has to go ahead and like go ahead and start mixing all that stuff for the soundtrack release, and then apparently, if I remember correctly, someone from id Software or Bethesda they decided to go ahead and mix this soundtrack as well, and then it didn't came out the way how he intended it, how it intended. So that caused some shift between the fans saying, "This isn't the way I remember how it sounded when I was playing the game," and Mick, where he's going, "This isn't how like I wanted my song music to be mixed or sounded like," and that kind of sounded like a drift between id, Bethesda, and Mick.
Yeah, and as I recall, someone in charge of ID, which is one of the developers for Doom Eternal, along with Bethesda, stated that they kind of gave him ample time, but they needed the game to be out, and he was taking a very long time to produce the music for the game. Well, the soundtrack for the game, because originally there was supposed to be a soundtrack to come along with the game that you can listen to. Um, but he took for essentially a certain amount of time longer than it should have been, and they had to get someone from their department to help out with the making of the game, with the making of the soundtrack, and that's how it ended up being the way it is, with him only making 16 soundtracks, as I recall, out of 59.
I don't like one. I can understand why Mick wasn't pleased with the way the soundtrack came out. I mean, it's his work. He wants it out, to be in the best way that represents, his work. And
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, I really don't know like how the behind the scene business works. So I can't really say much who's wrong and who's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, like Mick had a deadline to meet to go ahead and have it finished for the company, and then yeah, Bethesda could have extended, but again, I don't really know how the business works and what would be the mutual cause or anything like that.
yeah, no, I agree. And Joe, you've listened to Mick Gordon before. You and I played a game that he helped construe the music for. That was Killer Instinct, which had an amazing soundtrack. And even then, he still had delays in making the soundtrack, as I recall. Am I right?
Yeah, I believe I think the soundtrack for the second season of Killer Instinct. It was it was not, it did not come out for quite a while. I think we would post, I think, on like what, Instagram or something,
Yeah.
like teasers for like the song and being like almost ready to like release the soundtrack. So that was nice. But I can definitely get the impression that he is sort of a bit of a perfectionist, and really sort of like wants, sees his music as his craft, and really wants to perfect his craft.
Yeah, and Daniel, I know you're a big fan of Mick Gordon's music, especially when it came to 2016's Doom.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's
Because
especially with a Killer Instinct reboot.
yeah, dude, I'm not even gonna lie. One of the songs is actually my workout song, and that's the TJ Combo song. That that gets you pumped, man. I'm telling you right now. Dude, yeah, that's a good song. But no, it's. I mean, if I were to take my guess on on this whole thing, it would be just it's. I feel like they could have waited
Ah, it
for the
is.
whole soundtrack to come out. Say again?
Uh, I don't think. I mean, I was about to say something. I mean, like, yeah. I mean, it's a soundtrack. It's not actually the full game itself. So, it, I mean, I think they could have waited a bit longer to have it, the mixing finalized before release. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't mind waiting. I'm kind of used to it. I mean, I waited almost 14 years for the new Tool album, and I'm still waiting for Nintendo to bring out their soundtracks, and they never release them.
I mean, I get that, and Mick. I feel like he was should have given him more time to make the game the way it should be sounded from not just from the game, but also the way it sounds in disc form. That it's sort of the sad reality that sometimes creative differences happen,
Hello?
and that's sort of the sad tragic thing. Would you agree to that?
I mean, it is. Mick Gordon like did a lot for Doom and bringing back the series with its music and its soundtrack. Without him now, the series is going to feel completely different. It's just like if Koji Kondo wasn't there to work on Nintendo games. I forgot what's the other guy's name from Nintendo. Also, without him, Nintendo games would be different too without the works and music onto it. Shoji Meguro for the Persona series. I'm pretty sure there would be a different without the guy working on the soundtracks he did for 3, 4, and 5, and I think he might have done for 1 and 2 as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's music goes a long way with when it comes to gaming, and it we kind of need that in games. They help you feel more immersed, and the Doom soundtrack for this game, the Doom Eternal soundtrack is just like great. It's just playing it. My God, you feel like a force of nature. You feel the hype, and it's just like yeah, when you're moving around and the music's going with it. I'm like, oh God, yeah. It's such a fun game. I recommend the game to you, Daniel. It's really fun. But no,
Hmm.
I feel bad for Mick. I think that's all I can say. Is I just feel really bad for him. That he might not be coming back for the next one, which is the sad part. But it's not
Yeah,
like Mick's not gonna get a job. Mick is gonna get a job, especially considering how popular his music is, especially how everyone reacted to finding out that didn't have his mix. Holy crap! Imagine when the next thing he works on, all the fans find out, oh, he's working on that. Let's go. That's already an immediate seller. Yeah,
yeah,
it's we can all agree. Mick Gordon is an amazing soundtrack guy who makes that music, and I'm excited to see where he works in next. I'm upset that he's not going to be in the next Doom game, but you know what? You know, he wherever he does, he puts it's magical. It's amazing.
yeah.
It's breathtaking. So speaking of breathtaking, because that was a line that Keanu Reeves used in last year's E3 Xbox conference. Let's go to the Xbox conference that happened earlier today as of this recording. So, yeah, it's probably one of the more interesting ones that has happened with in terms of you know presentation. It's their first digital presentation, not like the directs that Nintendo tends to do. And we're just gonna go over essentially the games that were announced, which is surprisingly because there wasn't any big game announcements except for like maybe one that we all kind of already knew, which is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which we can all agree that game already looks amazing. So that's just one out of the table. But let's start off with some of the games that was announced. Daniel, what was your thoughts on that Bright Memory Infinite game? So my question to you, Daniel, was the game Bright Memory Infinite, the first game that they introduced in their little direct thing.
I'm very interested in that one. It's a very unique game. I see like parkour, everything in first person. There was a lot going on in that trailer as well, but they pretty much show you the gist of things that you can do in there, but we don't know the whole story behind what's going on in that game as well. But I am quite interested in it.
Yeah, and I think they said it was made by one developer.
Yeah, I think it's just one random dude.
Jesus, just one random dude, and they said they were working on the Xbox, right, Joey?
Yeah, like there's, it was, I think it's a company based in China, I think, and they're working directly with the infrastructure of the Xbox Series X to bring out all they can for this one game.
I mean, I heard of games being done by just one guy before, like with Undertale or the Five Nights at Freddy series. As much I don't want to bring that up. But seeing it on a level on a game like that, it's quite impressive, actually.
Yeah, you don't see many games with that level of detail.
Yeah,
especially if it comes from one person, one group, or more like. But yeah, no, that's one of the more interesting things. And the next game they announced was it Dirt 5 or was it? Well, we're probably gonna go the order that was released, but the next game they announced was The Ascent, which was that weird top person shooter.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember what was that one that was.
It made you think of Cyberpunk, but it wasn't really Cyberpunk.
Okay.
There's a lot more the characters are more alien-like, I think, right?
True.
I mean, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Was it like a top-down shooter?
Yeah, it was a top-down shooter.
Okay, yeah, I saw it. It looks interesting. The problem with those kind of games is that they really need to try to innovate a lot of it most of the time because top-down shooters. I think I mostly saw them done to death with the zombies, like Dead Nation, and some others I could think of, like maybe just really obscure Xbox indie game. I made a game with zombies in it. I think so, yeah. I think that's the one that started the trend, and then we started seeing more and more of it. But seeing it in a sci-fi setting, hopefully it looks good and everything, because I think the last time I saw a top-down shooter was maybe Contra Rogue Corps, and that wasn't good at all.
Man, I miss Contra, the OG one. But let's talk about the next game, which... Well, Joe, what were your thoughts on that game? Did you just give your thoughts on the other game?
No. My thoughts, first of all, for Bright Memory Infinite, right? I don't know. I thought it looks a bit much. There's a lot of weird, crazy stuff. It's like a first-person shooter game, but also has a bunch of hack and slash combos, but also has a bit of driving sections. It seems like a lot.
Yeah, no, that is true. There's a lot of things going on in that game.
As for The Ascent, I think it's interesting, at least from the design. Yeah, the world and design But I don't know. Like from like the gameplay they saw, I'm not like that invested in it
Hmm.
yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are my thoughts
I mean,
so
for
far.
me, Bright Memory Infinite, which is weird because I'm about to say there's a lot of Infinite logos going on in this event. I swear to God. And but I think it's an interesting looking game. I'm excited. I'm interested to see where it goes. The Ascent, I kind of didn't really pay that much attention to it because top down, up down shooter, whatever. They don't really interest me as much. I mean, I
Mhm.
don't know. Maybe it could be a great game for some people. Maybe for others, I'm not in that majority. Sad in that group, sadly. But I hope it does well. But the next game that we talk about is a game I don't think I ever heard of. Have you heard of Dirt 5, Daniel?
I've heard of the Dirt series. I don't think I actually personally played any of the games myself, but I just know it's dirt racing. Something like I think I could think of is maybe like Sega Rally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Personally, like I'm not into like those kind of like simulator kind of games. I'm not sure if Dirt Five is one of them, but yeah, like I just kind of was hoping for like maybe another like arcade style racing game like Burnout or the
Mm-hmm.
underrated Split Second that I can't believe they never got a sequel.
Fair enough. Enjoy your thoughts.
Um, I don't know. It looks like I guess people who like racing games would be very into this, I guess. But personally, for me, I don't know. I think I'm not necessarily that big into the racing genre when it comes to video games, so I just saw it as fine, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So yeah, I think I think it'll get attention for a lot of people.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. Not that big of a racing guy. I mean, I'll play some games with racing in them, no problem with that. But I like a little more. Not to sound like an asshole, but like I like to do other stuff aside from racing. But it looks like an interesting game. It looks like it's really using some of that ray tracing that they've been selling a lot for Xbox, and I'm kind of interested to see where that goes. So next game that they announced was really probably the more one of the more interesting ones, especially since I think this is the one they said that had the music from Silent Hills, the Scorn.
I don't know. That was actually Medium.
Okay, so I was off.
Yeah, I was say I'm pretty sure it's the other horror game they
Yeah,
showed off.
they showed up two horror games, so I was like, what's one of the two? But yeah, Scorn. Your thoughts on that one, Daniel?
On Scorn, like very interested in it. Like seeing like the whole area of the game we were just seeing throughout the trailer, it just felt very unsettling.
Mm-hmm.
The way like you see like maybe like skins and everything all over the walls and stuff, and this weird creatures or whatever the thing was feeding to the other. Uh yeah, it already gave me some, uneasy vibes from it, so I'm quite interested in it already.
Yeah, no, just looking back at the game for me, I want to say my own two pieces, but Joey, it's your turn to say what you think of this game.
The Scorn was I don't know. I'm interested in it. It's very intriguing. The visual style was definitely creepy. I'll give them that. They definitely add that sort of creepiness factor to it. But yeah, I think it I don't know, it piqued my interest. But I think I want to see more of like story stuff to understand what the hell is going on.
Yeah, no, I think majority of them said that this is more of a gameplay slash how this game how it's going to look on the Xbox Series X because they're really trying to sell us on that graphics, which is great and all and good. I'm rewatching the trailer on my phone right now, and Jesus, does everything look? It reminds me of there's a game very similar to it. It was like all veiny and bloody. I can't remember what the name of it was at the top of my head.
I mean, there's plenty of games. There was Dante's Inferno, Agony.
I think it was Agony. It reminds me a lot of Agony. But aside from that, it just really just gives you that sort of, you know, dark, dark kind of horror, like some weird, crazy shit's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I'm very interested in to see where this is going. Um, that being said, it's one of the more interesting ones they said. Now let's go. Now, if I were to say the next game they announced was I really didn't get what the story was going on for this one. It was Chorus. Did you understand anything that was going on? I didn't understand. I'm sorry if I'm being dumb.
For which game again?
Chorus, the one with the chick.
It was the space. It was a sort of a like outer space sort of like game. You're flying around in a spaceship, shooting down, doing dogfights and stuff in outer space. I think it's yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
and they were selling on the. No, you go ahead, Daniel.
if I remember from the gameplay, it feels like more like maybe an open world Star Fox game, but overall with the story, I don't think I remember what was going on or why there's space battles and stuff.
Yeah, it sounded very generic, in my opinion. Like I don't know, maybe I'm just being too hard on it, but it sounded to me very generic. I mean, and it looks like a fun like game. Maybe we can finally get a good Star Fox game or Star Fox like game. But
Mhm.
we'll see. I just ended up giving my 2 cents. Jay, what are your thoughts on the chorus?
I don't know. From what I can gather from the story, at least they were trying to like tease during the trailer. Definitely seems like the main protagonist is like vitally important in some sort of big war. Um, the gameplay from what we saw from the trailer looks definitely interesting. I don't know. It looks. I don't know if I would necessarily like buy this game, but it does look interesting enough to like maybe warrant like checking it out. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's and I agree with that. It's interesting enough, but if it's I might try it out. I don't know. We will have to wait and see. And the next game was Call of the Sea, which is one I can't really remember off the top of my head. Do you remember that one, Daniel?
Uh, Not that I can think of.
Hmm. I'm looking through it just in case, but if Joey, do you remember Call of the Sea?
Yeah, vaguely. It seems to be about if I remember this correctly, it sort of has this, I guess, I don't know, it kind of has a bit of like a BioShock feeling to it in a weird
Mm-hmm.
way in terms of I think just from like the visual style. Um but yeah, I'm assuming from what you got from like the trailer, it's basically about this one woman trying to find, I guess, some person important to her uh, by traversing through like a lost island or something and doing various things. It's sort of like from a first person perspective, I believe. So it looks interesting enough. I don't really know if we got to see any like thing besides just POV shots of the various environments.
Yeah, and I think that's what I'm looking through it right now again, and I think that's what kind of made me like not as well, not as interested, but more like just kind of pass by because it's just more like scenery shots,
Yeah.
which was great looking scenery shots. Just looking back at it now.
Oh yeah, like I just saw it. Like the game looks beautiful, but like nothing much was going on in the trailers to help for us to remember.
Hmm. But it's who knows? It could be a good game, but it looks good, and it's one of those. It's gonna be one of those games that really shows off. That could really show off the power of the Xbox Series X. Um, let's talk about the new game that's coming out. The one that's has the music from the guys who made Silent Hill, and like I said earlier, the music makes a lot in terms of the game. So when you're thinking of music of Silent Hills, shit's gonna go creepy. So the Medium, is the new game that was announced for the Series X. Um, Daniel, what are your thoughts on the Medium?
I'm excited, but also cautious because if I remember, I think they said the developers one of the last games they made was Blair Witch, and I kind of heard some mixed things about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I heard some positives, I heard some negatives. I don't really know which one is more. It's kind of mixed. So hopefully, like the game is good because uh, big fan of the composer. Like he did a lot of work for Silent Hills, and see him like I think after maybe 2 or 3, Silent Hills hasn't really been the same since.
Hmm. Yeah, and I'm looking over the trailer again, and I forgot how creepy that trailer was.
Yeah.
Just something about like dead babies, cold snow kind of stuff. Yeah, no, Joey, give me your thoughts before I say my thoughts.
Yeah. Honestly, for me, from what we saw from the trailer, it just seemed more like a setting the tone rather than like what we can expect from gameplay. Although they did, I think, show a bit of more gameplay when you're discussing some of the titles, which definitely seems a bit more like remind reminds me a bit like like Silent Hills, I guess, or like an Alan Wake game. Just like I like wandering around like very sort of creepy environments. And I mean, I think it could be interesting. Although I will reserve my judgment for that.
Yeah, no, looking through this, I'm looking through the gameplay. It looks very. It does it gives me that I think Alan Wake is the best example too, but the tone does feel like Silent Hills. It also feels like that other game, the one that was like construed to be like kind of like half live action, half video game.
Quantum Break.
Yeah, especially there's certain scenes that kind of reminds you of Quantum Break because like the way the world would alter.
Okay.
Yeah, which is a decent game, just not as popular as it could have been. The Quantum Break thing game, but no, this is a game that really caught my eye, especially when I heard that the composer for Silent Hill is gonna be it. I was like, oh, that's gonna be real good. Like, well, hopefully it's gonna be real good. We have to wait and see how that game turns out. So moving on to the next game, um, Second Extinction was another game that was announced. Um, I Daniel, you want to take that one from here?
Uh, when I first saw the trailer, I thought we were getting another Turok game, but to my surprise, I think it's a completely different IP altogether. But still, it has it piqued my interest in it. Like, I would like to see more from it.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I saw the trailer, I was like, "So is this the plot of Jurassic Park, Jurassic World 3?"
Mutated dinosaurs, yeah.
Yeah, and like seeing because I think we see like different variations of like the dinosaurs, which I don't know, and like there's a bit like I think a 4-player co-op, which I think if anything this might be like a weird like dinosaur version of like Left 4 Dead, which I think would actually sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, I agree with that. With wholeheartedly because like that game looks so much interesting. I don't know if I would play it though, but I know it's one of those games where I gotta wait and see how it turns out. And yeah, we'll wait and see because I honestly thought it was another Arks game. You know, the Ark game where you can
Ark Survival.
Yeah, Ark Survival. That's the game I was thinking. I thought it was another
Like,
one of those.
are they still in beta or something?
No, I think they've have full release now. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong though.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so we got a little more games to finish off with, and yeah, but some of these are pretty obvious. Daniel, your thoughts on Yakuza Like a Dragon, which kind of sounds like a song now. Say it out loud.
If you haven't played Yakuza yet, what's wrong with you? No, like Yakuza. I randomly picked up the game for cheap, and I was amazed at how much how much content it had going for it. Became a fan of it instantly. Played through all of it. Actually played through all 6 of the games now. Sorry, 7. I forgot the prequel 0.
Mm-hmm.
And now, yeah, Yakuza Like a Dragon. You don't have to worry about playing the previous 6 games. If you want to play it, because 6 is actually the last game where we had Kiryu Kazuma as the protagonist, and it's a little different too. Mostly, the previous games were all beat 'em up style, but now it's a full on weird, great zany RPG style kind of game as well.
Yeah, no, we start going all full Enter the Dragon in there a minute ago with the whole kung fu stuff going on.
Yeah, like lots of crazy stuff. You could pull off summons in the game as well, like a little crawfish. which I'm not joking, by the way. You can summon a crawfish. But yeah, like I'm very excited for it, and people should definitely try it out. The Yakuza series out.
All right. So the next game on here, which one we already talked about, which is Valhalla, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which already looks very interesting. We can all agree on that. It might bring me back to the Assassin's Creed series. I was a huge fan. I kind of stopped after Black Flag because I didn't feel like going through it anymore. I felt like I was done. But this might bring it back. I don't know about you guys.
I mean, I wasn't never really that big of a fan of Assassin's Creed. I didn't really like. I thought the games were okay, but it's just there. So if there's nothing going on, I guess I'll pick it up.
Joy?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess what intrigued me about it is just, I guess, the historical setting. Because I don't know, like it just seems like a interesting place to do like an Assassin's Creed kind of game. And I am like, and like you said, I stopped playing Assassin's Creed after Black Flag, mainly because I think I hit major burnout with the series because we've been playing since 2, and like year after year after year because I'm getting more, and I was just sort of like, I'm kind of done, like, but I don't know, like. And it's sort of there's a bit of a mixed bag, I think, for some people who are fans of Assassin's Creed, where like the newer games, Origins and Odyssey, are now sort of like are more RPG kind of games where you have like loot and stuff to get, rather than like trying to be like sort of like stealth games where you have to like strategically like kill a target and like escape. The game would reward you for that, but now it sort of seems like, oh, you can just go and do whatever you want. Like it feels like a bit of like a Witcher, like The Witcher, but like not as expansive, I guess. Yeah, but I don't know. I'd be willing to try out Valhalla just for the setting alone.
Just for the setting alone. All right.
Yeah.
So let's move on to I think I already said my piece, but let's move on to the last 2 games here. We're not gonna talk about Madden because that's self-explanatory. Madden.
Yeah, like I'm gonna be honest. I'm actually a part of me was like very surprised that they actually announced Madden, because I don't know. I just like thought like, oh wow, we're getting Madden here of all places. All right.
All right. Not to dog on the guys that like Madden,
Yeah, but like
we know what
it's a known quantity.
Yeah.
The Maddens are always gonna come out.
Yeah. So one of the next games we have here is what I like to call maybe better Code Vein, which was Scarlet Nexus. Say again?
Like, sorry, what was the name of the game?
Scarlet Nexus, the really anime looking one.
Yeah.
That one might pique my interest a bit. Namco Bandai. I usually just know them for like Soul Calibur, Tekken, and Tales of series. Seeing this one, taking a different approach, I think, your character has psychokinesis powers, and I believe there's some hack and slash elements as well to it.
There is indeed.
Yeah, like it definitely piqued my interest, especially that I heard Code Vein was actually surprisingly good. So yeah, like I'll definitely keep my eye on it.
Yeah, I personally heard different for Code Vein. I heard it was more of a mixed bag, but for me, Scarlet Nexus looks more like it's kind of it looks to me like a mix of Code Vein / Astral Chain that came out for Nintendo.
Yeah,
where it has a little crazy combos, but it also looks very fun and animated. I just kind of wish I knew what the whole point of the story was, but because it looks like evil plant monsters.
Yeah.
It looks like fun. It might be a game I'm willing to try out. Joey, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it looks, honestly, it looks hella anime to me, which is not bad, but yeah, it does look interesting enough. It looks like you have maybe some neat gameplay style of like combos and various other sort of like things, because like you can see like they use that sort of psychokinesis very well in the trailer. Like you can like they basically it's sort of like a way to like extend your combos and drag opponents towards you and stuff like that, which like does look really cool. So I don't know. Like I will definitely look into this game more when we get more information about it.
Yeah, and just looking at through it again, it does remind me a lot of Code Vein, especially with the way it's very anime style, but it's also the combo systems look very much like it. The only thing is that Code Vein was more of a Dark Souls kind of a copy. Here looks more like I said, Astral Chain with the crazy combos and all this crazy stuff you can do with it. And yeah, no, it looks like a game that I would have a lot of fun with. Now to the last game, which was Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, which if you saw the trailer at the logo how it looks, the Bloodlines does another infinite, which I'm still questioning, is there an infinite thing going on? I don't know. But Daniel, what are your thoughts on this vampire game that was hella creepy?
Uh, I'm aware of the Vampire series. I never played it, but I heard a lot of good things about it. So like, I'll definitely give the game a try. Like, I do want to try out the game, see how it's like.
Mm-hmm. Joy, your thoughts?
I've never really knew that there was a series of games like this where you just play as a vampire, which is kind of cool when you think about it. Because I don't think there is a lot of games out there where you play as a vampire.
Can I play a sparkling vampire?
No, you cannot be Edward from Twilight, please. None of that. Shame on you. But yeah, watching the trailer, it definitely looks like interesting. Like it seems to be there could be a lot of like interesting like story stuff probably happening. But yeah, I definitely want to see more of this.
My thoughts is that I'm always up for something really weird and creepy, um, especially now since I played Doom. Um, this looks like gonna be a fun game. It looks like a real crazy ride. Very atmospherical too. It looks very gothic at some points and very hellish at other points. But essentially, I'm interested to see. I want to know more of the gameplay though. It looks like all I know is that it's first person, and a lot of stuff happens, and you can just go around just being a vampire. Which again, I want to know can I turn into a sparkling vampire just to mess with Joey. But no, that's the last of the lineup that they gave. Daniel, what are your thoughts on this whole presentation in general for Xbox's new thing? Which, by the way, they're gonna do this monthly, so we might come back and do this again.
Uh, I mean, I'm glad to see that Microsoft, they're learning from the past. They need to have more third-party developers on their side with them. So I'm kind of glad they're getting the games to be on their system more.
Mhm.
Uh, I think I think it's all fun and stuff. Like some games that interest me. It's just that I think we need to see more exclusives from them because a good amount of those games like Yakuza, Dirt 5, and so on, it's multi-platform. I could get it on PS5 for maybe even the Switch.
Mm-hmm. Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it was a decent showing, all things considered. Like I think for a good majority of people, like probably the big title was like gameplay reveal for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and everything else was sort of like pleasant surprises and like this is interesting. I want to see more, and I definitely do feel like Microsoft needs to bring out like some very like interesting exclusives to at least help bolster like their lineup because it does seem like exclusives were like the main thing that helped Sony and the PlayStation 4 more or less dominate this last console generation.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like Sony is definitely going to try to double down on that for the PS5. So I feel like Microsoft should at least pull some of those exclusives out uh, for the Series X. And if they're doing this monthly, we probably might see some of that stuff
Yeah,
like next month.
The question is now, and this is also my thoughts, is are we actually going to get exclusives? They're going to be exclusives. How long are they going to be just on the Xbox? Are they going to end up being later on, like games that you can also play, like or games that once you get them, you can also play them on other systems? It's one of those things where I kind of want to see I kind of want to see where they're going with this. They never really announced that these games are exclusives. Majority of them, like Daniel said, are third party, so you probably see them on PlayStation, on a Nintendo game. I would like to see more Xbox only. Even if you were planning on releasing them on PC, make it like a year, wait a year wise kind of stuff. Look at Seven Remake. That's technically a timed exclusive for Sony. Sony only has it for this whole year for now, and then next year, everyone else can play the game on their system. Am I right on that, Daniel? Or am I wrong?
I mean, I do agree they need to have some more exclusives. Maybe not go with the time exclusivity thing. I don't think that's the right way to go for it. But yeah, they definitely do need to have something to make their content more appealing.
Mm-hmm. And just like leaving it there, I just don't. I'm glad of some of the games that were announced. I felt the presentation needed at least one game to be like to wow us out there. Maybe an Halo Infinite trailer, maybe something from the developers that they bought, like Ninja Theory, like Double Fine. Maybe if they ended it with something like that, I think I'd have been a little more impressed. And again, I think we all agree, Microsoft, you need an exclusive. You need another exclusive that isn't just Halo. We need one. Don't get me wrong. Whenever I see the Halo Infinite trailer that came out last year for E3, I do get a little teary eye because that was an amazing trailer. That was just perfect. But we need more of those. We need games that we need to play on the Xbox, only on the Xbox. And I don't know. I don't know how Microsoft's gonna do it. Phil Spencer, you are my hope. Please, God willing, you do the right thing. But no, that's about our thoughts on the whole presentation. Um, well, like I said, we might do another one because apparently they're doing one each month and to lead up to the Series X, which we still don't know much about it. We still don't know much about the PS5. Maybe they'll do a presentation on that. We'll wait and see. But it's all in the cards. It's all in the cards right now. I mean, what do you think, Daniel?
Uh, yeah, like we still have months away from the release of the consoles, so hopefully they do announce and show us some new stuff. Here's hoping that they'll come out with Brutal Legend 2.
God willing. Good Lord, imagine Brutal Legend 2 with the money of a first-party developer.
That would be amazing.
Good Lord, though, the size of the maps. Don't get me wrong, Brutal Legend was an amazing game. There's some stuff that was holding it back at the same time. But, I still love that game. But yeah, no, I think that's about it for today's episode. We had a lot of fun. A lot of cool stuff was going on. Xbox, you're getting there. You're getting there. We just need you to do one little thing, and then you got it. You got it. Also, please, for the love of God, we're allowed to announce us a price tag so we at least know whether or not I can actually afford it, aside from the stuff that you're giving me. But yeah, so guys, just to end it all off, be sure to follow us on all social media. This has been the end of the Games Tunes episode. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, where you can get all info. You can check us out and see what we're always posting up there. Also, be sure to follow us on any podcast platform that you like to listen to us to, from Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Castbox, Google Podcasts, all that good stuff. Also, please support us on Patreon. We have a Patreon for you guys to help us out, maybe do some more crazier stuff, more out there kind of stuff. We like to do. We got some plans for stuff, but we need a little dough for that. And if you follow us on YouTube, please subscribe, hit the bell icon, all that good stuff. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. And please, and let us know how you feel about the YouTube videos. We're always trying to do something new and cool with that. And I think that's about it, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's
Yeah.
everything. Yeah,
That's everything. Well, hopefully, like I said earlier, Xbox, you have it. You have the ball right now. Do not drop it. For the love of God, do not. And Sony, you guys step up your game if you're out there. Last of Us 2, let's hope that turns out good. Mick, we'll follow you to the end, buddy. You make amazing music. And yeah, we've been the Geeksy Terriers. This has been your good old pal, and I'm pointing at you, Daniel, if I'm reaching up there.
Like, This is Daniel.
It's been me, Joe.
And it's been your boy Eli, and we are the Centurions, and we are signing out. Peace.